The most popular action camera ever has its 10th generation. Seems to be the slow motion king now. But is it the best action camera ever? Let's inspect. So, how many times in your life have you seen a video titled, "Is this better than GoPro?" or "The best GoPro alternatives?" or "This is the new GoPro Hero killer"? I've seen many of them, and actually GoPro as a brand has become so popular that when most of my friends see this, they would call it a GoPro. That's clearly not a GoPro, that's an SJ Cam, SJ4000, an iconic old action camera, but the thing is, the point is that as a brand, they've grown so much that now most people would refer to the technology with the brand name. Something that happens with Pampers, Dumpster, Jet Ski, many other brands. Just comes to show how high the expectations are from this. And that's the GoPro Hero 10, and you can easily recognize it by the blue color here and here. Other than that, it's almost identical to the Hero 9. But there's another issue, and that's the fact that the first wave of reviews tend to beautify, focus too much on the good sides of the GoPro. And this is because of contracts, relationships with marketing, GoPro marketing, and so on, which is totally fine. But the good advantage of channels like mine, which are a bit smaller, is that I can tell you about the whole picture without being bound to such limitations. Like, for instance, last year, when everybody was talking to you how great and fantastic the Hero 9 is, and how buttery smooth the footage and the whole interface is, actually we stressed on the fact that it uses the same system on a chip for 4th consecutive generation, and therefore there are some horrendous glitches when scrolling, especially when some of the features are on. So this year I want to present to you some other issues, not that there are too many and not that they're too big, but I want to talk about some issues which I faced with the Hero 10, besides of course the fact it's now the slow motion king. And yes, in this video I'm going to show you and tell you about my experience for the last 30 days of extensive usage. Let's go! Okay, a few hardware upgrades, a minor price bump, so expectations from the performance are now very high. Sadly, 2021 has been a year where most cool tech gadgets have become more expensive. You pay around $400 for the Hero 10 with 1-year subscription to GoPro, which I think is a great opportunity to get some cloud storage, some nice deals, and also to get your camera replaced for a small fee in case it accidentally breaks. Used it with the Hero 9 myself, no regrets at all. If you're looking for something slightly down the budget, the DJI Osmo Action is still a great choice and right now dirt cheap. A bit more expensive is the Insta361R with the replaceable mods, which as predicted have turned into something like a game changer. Unboxing the Hero 10, I'm gonna be short here because you've probably watched this plenty of times before. This is the combo version at the same price I just mentioned earlier. Second battery, some holders, a nice carrying case, setup is really easy. However, this is where I have experienced my first frustration. Took me 4 attempts and close to 90 minutes to get the firmware updated before the first use. Not sure what was wrong, but it's kind of annoying. Android user here for the record. Hopefully the update process is better for the iPhone users. Quick tour over the specs. Same form factor as the Hero 9, so most accessories that you have bought for it are still gonna be compatible. The famous already GP2 system on a chip, the 5.3K image sensor from Hero 9, the awesome 4K 120 frames per second shooting capability, and the same removable 1720 mAh battery, the 4th generation of hyper smooth stabilization, GPS, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, waterproof body, fantastic internal microphone. The hardware combo is really decent. So the GP2 inside, that's actually a system on a chip. And system on a chip, it has CPU component, it has RAM, it has a little piece of storage. Concerning the processor, because this is what really matters, in this case it's a quad-core processor based on the A53 Cortex cores, and yes, the performance is a lot better. I think the most significant improvement is about the scrolling speed, because now the camera finally doesn't lag and seems like it's no longer freezing. Now, however, we have another problem, which is called heat, and it makes perfect sense. Faster CPU, obviously, cores at higher frequency state, yeah, they do produce a bit more heat. Or when it comes to high frame resolutions or higher bitrate, that also demands higher CPU frequency, therefore, again, more heat. Thing is that I believe we should ask ourselves the following question, because I see many people freaking out about the heating issue, but do you really plan to shoot for more than 15 or 20 minutes in 4K 120 FPS or 2.7K 240? No, I don't think so, because those files, they're going to be huge and very intensive, and most of the PCs would barely handle the load of these files. So, in short, does the problem exist and does the camera overheat? Yes, at this point it does. Is it a really big issue? No, it's not. Furthermore, this is the first iteration of the GP2 processor and it's brand new hardware development, so my expectation is that with the firmware updates in the future, GoPro will handle the situation pretty well. Let me show you the menus, in case you've missed the GoPro Hero 9 review from last year. They are almost the same. Very easy to navigate through the interface with swiping actions. Finally, it's well responsive and you don't have to deal with animations that are kind of worse, even worse than a 2019 budget smartphone, for instance. Choice for resolutions between 720p and 5.3K. Frame rates are up to 240 in 2.7K. This is a crazy value, just like with 120 frames per second in 4K. And it works really good. There is no notable quality degradation, as it is with some other action cameras when shooting in high frame rates. As you can see from the samples, the performance is outstanding. I've had the chance to try the camera in almost any kind of conditions. As usual for action cameras, really important is the light outside. The brighter the day, the nicer the footage. If it gets dark, the stabilization will cause more artifacts and you won't be too happy with the results. One more important thing, it's the fact that the Hero 10 is finally considerably better in shooting low light scenes. And I would say probably for the first time ever, it has the edge over the DJI Osmo Action and probably the Insta360 One R. Maybe not better than the 1-inch sensor, but very close in terms of performance. And that's great news because inside there's an image sensor with very high pixel density. If you wonder about comparison to Insta360 Go 2, here is one for the record. Slow motion, it's probably the element that really makes you want the camera. Unmatched high frame rates in such a small body, it's hard to believe that 4K 120 frames per second or the 240 FPS in 2.7K look that good. It will be a huge booster for content creators and so much fun for everybody else that just wants the camera for random shooting. I was stunned by the effectiveness of the horizon leveling. Now it can correct up to 45 degrees. Just look at the footage and notice in the corner of the screen the actual position of the camera while shooting. Isn't this phenomenal? The Hero 10 adds a lot of additional improvements. Some of them are rather minor. A slightly different material for the housing, the new lens with hydrophobic coating. Not only that, but I noticed that it also tends to collect less dust and is really better scratch resistant. Live streaming is also possible now, even with stabilization, and some more nice tweaks on the smartphone app side. Great news, of course, is that all the Hero 9 mods already are or are about to be compatible with Hero 10 and its future firmware updates. Looking at my usual list with the drawbacks, currently only the Max mod support is missing, which GoPro are committed to push an update for any moment. The overheating issues with prolonged usage at 5K at 60 frames per second or other intensive rates, and also some battery discrepancies when switching between the different modes. From the standpoint of someone that uses a GoPro on a regular basis, I can say this is close to the perfect action camera. Actually, if I was thinking about the perfect action camera, maybe I was about to say, yes, the GoPro Hero 10. And let me, in a nutshell, tell you about my favorite 3 features, which luckily GoPro are keeping consistent in the past few generations. First of all, the build quality, it's amazing. With the Hero 9, there have been a number of impacts where the camera was falling down. Nothing really broke. Fantastic and phenomenal build quality. The other thing I really like is the color science, because the colors are so good, and especially if you shoot in the flat color mode, that gives you so much room for color grading in post-production. The third major factor, it truly delivers what it's supposed to. You just take it out, you point and shoot, and you know the results are going to be decent without too much of preparation. Probably the only thing that has ever failed me is if I forget to recharge the battery, but since it's replaceable, you just swap it and the problem is solved within seconds. So I guess now the major questions are about whether you should upgrade if you already have another action camera. And the thing is, if you have something like this, old and basic and already incapable, yes. If you have a Hero 9, then think about, do you really use slow motion that much? And do you really need those new high frame rates? And are you too annoyed by the slow scrolling? And I would say the similar condition for GoPro Hero 8. If you're with Hero 7 or Hero 6, and given the fact that over here we've got this reference display, yeah, that's a nice addition. If you have DJI Osmo Action, well, finally Hero 10 is better than the DJI Osmo Action, especially about slow motion. But if you're happy with the camera as it is, keep it. Furthermore, DJI are about to announce the next generation anytime soon. And I would say the same about the Insta360 ONE R, with the exception I'm not really sure whether there's going to be a new edition or whatsoever. So yeah, that's a pretty decent action camera, probably the best at this point of time that money can buy. So if I recommend it, I would say yes, totally worth the investment. And I hope that throughout these last minutes, you got to know better the GoPro Hero 10, real-life performance, my pure thoughts. I hope it was useful. If it was, then give us a like, please. Support the channel. You can subscribe, and all the gear I have shown throughout this episode is linked in the video description below. Thank you so much for watching this video, for trusting in me, and I would love to see you again. My name is Michael. Wish you a fantastic day. Bye.